Okay, I'm going to do a video. I have no cheat sheets around me. There's nothing around me. All I'm doing is I'm going to quickly show that I can remember the 50 state capitals, and I'm going to show you how I remembered those state capitals, okay? And it'll take about 15 minutes to do. Maybe I'll get it shorter, but I really want to make this fast. Okay, so California, there's a sack of gold, so think about Sacramento because of the gold rush. Washington, you wash a ton of laundry during the Olympics, so we think of Olympia, washing a ton of laundry during the Olympics. Olympia, Washington. Oregon, you think of salmon because that's what they eat up there. Lots of salmon spawn around here, so that's Salem. Instead of salmon, we're thinking Salem, Oregon. You could also think of the Salem witch trials, but that didn't happen in Oregon. Okay, I don't know, maybe witches are hiding in the woods. Okay, or you like to say Oregon people love to eat salami. Okay, over here we have Nevada, and there are a lot of cars on cities in Nevada. Why? Because everything is long distance when you go to Nevada. There's mostly a lot of barren area, and so you have to drive from one city to the next. So there's cars on cities out there. When you have Idaho over here, Idaho, there's a lot of boys that see things. What do boys see? Boys see girls. What are they seeing? Well, they're seeing this lovely lady over here, and she's like Helena. She's so gorgeous with the long hair flowing. And so we got Helena, Montana. You could also think of Hannah Montana. We got Helena, Montana. And Wyoming, boys see Cheyenne. Hello, Cheyenne. That's actually spelled like this, Cheyenne. But, do you think of Cheyenne? She's always like, why isn't anyone paying attention to me? Well, hold on, Cheyenne and Helena, because North Dakota has biz to the mark. Okay? So, Helena wants to get into Mark's business. She's always trying to get into Mark's business, but Cheyenne is like, come on, pay attention to me, Mark. Sometimes, though, there's another guy that's interested in those two ladies, and his name is Pierre, and he's a Frenchman. So you know how Frenchmen have a way with their accent and the ladies, it's a ooh la la like that. So Pierre is all trying to be friends with Cheyenne and Helena, just like Mark is, and Helena just wants to get into Mark's business. He's like, hey, man, I want to get into Mark's business. And Cheyenne's all like, well, maybe Pierre's going to pay attention to me. But Pierre is also looking at Helena. And there's all kinds of stuff going on between these people. But Lincoln, most of all, Lincoln, he's not into the flash. So Lincoln is into Cheyenne. He's thinking to himself, well, you know what? If only I could get Cheyenne's attention. He's like Abraham Lincoln. He's just a down-to-earth guy. He's not into flash or beauty, or she's good enough for him. So he's going to be trying to make a connection. But you got St. Paul in Minnesota. St. Paul is actually an ordained minister. So if any one of these people over here wanted to get married, all they'd have to do is contact St. Paul. Okay. In Utah, this looks like a salt box. Like an olden days salt box, and so you just say, where am I going to get salt? In Salt Lake City, of course. Colorado, I think that's C-O, not C-I. Okay, like C-O is Colorado. Let me confirm that. Yeah, I'm going to start doing postal code memorization too. So C-O, Colorado has Denver. Well, if you think about it, John Denver was a very famous singer who took the name Denver. But that's going to be hard for you to remember, other than if I say Denver is the state capital of Colorado. Then where is it? Put a question mark there. Well, it's in Denver. Okay, Kansas looks like a big toe. Now, when I see somebody's toe looks all busted up and bruised because they play too much basketball, I say to myself, maybe I'm just a toe paker. Toe pika. Okay, now toe peeker is like toe pika. Toe peeker is like Topeka. Okay? Okay, well, I'm going to point out a very simple fact that Oklahoma is simply, the state capital of Oklahoma is simply its own self. So I'm going to point out something real simple to you. Oklahoma City. Okay, City. And that's where the Thunder play. So Arizona gets very hot. Because it gets very hot, the Phoenix will rise above the ashes in Arizona. Phoenix, Arizona is the capital. Santa must pay a fee to deliver toys to New Mexico. I don't know why. Maybe, they want to give Santa a hard time for bringing all them goodies, but sometimes that just happens, businessmen and all. All right, so this is to me it kind of looks like a baseball cap, and I'm thinking there's a boy named Austin in Texas that loves to play baseball, and that's why he's smiling. So his name is Austin, right? Now Austin, if he's going to play baseball, he's got to have a bat over his shoulder because he's about to, he's aiming to hit that ball, and he's going to knock it out the park. So he takes his bat, and he puts it over his shoulder, which touches Louisiana. And guess what? That bat is on Rouge in Louisiana. Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We're going to start down from here again, and I owe a lot of money. And what I like to think of is Des Moines is that money, but I also like to think that that's mine. That money, if I owe a lot of money, I have to say, that's mine. Give it to me. Let me keep it. I don't want to owe a lot of money. That's mine. Or, that's that money. Des Moines. Okay, M, if you think about it, it looks a little bit like a scroll. And I like to think about this scroll being the Declaration of Independence. Okay? So we're rolling out the Declaration of Independence, and guess who's inside of Missouri? And we know this is Missouri because Missouri loves company, and it's always around here. It's where all the people are just around surrounding Missouri, and so Missouri loves company. Jefferson wrote the Declaration. So we think of Jefferson City. Once you unroll that Declaration, who do you see in the middle? Jefferson hiding in the middle. Okay, this is a little clumpy rock. And Arkansas, or Arkansas, if you're like funky, you want to say it, it looks like a little rock. It's just a chunk of rock right there. Nice chunk of rock. Okay, so we got Wisconsin, and there's some really weird looking stuff on some of the borderlines, and if you don't see it, you got to think about the Crazy Brothers. But if you look, there's actually a way of seeing that there's a crazy guy over here. Maybe he has a mohawk. I don't know. Maybe he's got a weird hairdo. But this guy is one mad son. He is mad. Mad son. You just put an I there, and you got Madison, Wisconsin, as the capital city. For Michigan, we have the other brother of the mad son. This guy looks like a mitten. And sometimes people say mitten is Michigan, and I like that one too. So this guy, though, is nuts. He's like laughing all the time. Ha, ha. I don't know what he's laughing about. That's why he's crazy, along with his mad son friend over here. And we call him Lansing, because he's laughing all the time. Hello, Lansing, Michigan. Illinois is next to Indianapolis. Illinois, to me, the illest or the nastiest noise might just be a boing, boing sound. So if you're thinking about boing, 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 that is one ill noise. And when I think about an ill noise, what do I think of? Springs bouncing around, boing, boing. So I think about spring, Field, Illinois. If I have Indianapolis, then I'm polishing a lot of cars because the Indianapolis has a race car track and they're polishing those cars up to look good for the race. You could think of Indianapolis, or you polish cars in Indiana. The other way to think about that is Indianapolis is like Indiana Polish or Polish. A Polish person named Indiana. And that's just what he's going to write. I'm Polish. I'm in Indiana. But Maryland actually has his sister, Anna, Polish, or Annapolis. Maryland, capital city is Annapolis. Or maybe Anna likes to polish her shoes. I don't know. But think about Indianapolis is the brother of Anna Polish. Whatever. Ohio is a very interesting name. When you say, oh, hi, maybe Columbus, which is the capital city, came to see. And when he first came to see, he said, I saw all those people. He said, oh, hi, how y'all doing? Oh, hi. The other thing that I say is that it looks like binoculars. So if you see the binoculars in Ohio, who's exploring? Columbus. This looks like a hamburger. Pennsylvania has Harrisburg or Harrisburger. We're going to put a burger in there. Got all sesame seeds and everything. So Harrisburg, Pennsylvania is your capital city. There's a lot of guys named Al in New York. But you know what? Sometimes we want to ban him because there's too many of them. So Al ban NY is New York. Al got banned from New York is Albany in New York. Vermont is funny because it's so easy. Vermont, the second half of Vermont tells us Montpelier. That's the capital of Vermont. New Hampshire is always going to be against what Vermont says, and I'll tell you why. This is yin-yang symbol, and they are contrary to each other. Because they're always fighting against each other, Vermont and New Hampshire are contrary to each other. Concord, New Hampshire. They go against each other in the balance of yin-yang. I don't know, I came up with it. It's just weird. So in August, it's gorgeous in Maine. So we think of Augusta, Maine. Massachusetts is a hard one because you almost have to be like really dicey, and you got to say Boston Massacre because Boston is the capital of Massachusetts. So you just think of the Boston Massacre. Rhode Island, you need to provide things to the people in Rhode Island because they're an island and it's hard to get supplies. So provisions are provided to Providence, Rhode Island. Connecticut has that connect I cut in it. And if you're going to make a lot of connections, you are speaking from your heart. So we're going Hartford, Connecticut. So think about your heart when you're making connections. New Jersey. This is one of my favorite ones. The NBA has a guy named Trenton. And he needs a new jersey. Got it? Trenton needs a new jersey. And he just needs a new jersey. It's the NBA. Okay, Delaware is Dover. Okay, so don't fall Dover into the ocean if you're Delaware. Delaware, you don't fall Dover into the ocean is how I remember. Delaware is Dover. Maryland, I already said, is Annapolis or Annapolis or Annapolis's thing. Annapolis. Virginia, actually, between Maryland and Virginia is the Washington, D.C., where you will find a lot of rich men. Because there are a lot of rich men in Virginia, you think about Richmond, Virginia. Rich men, Richmond. West Virginia, they love to dance there. There's a special dance they love. It's an old school dance called the Charleston. Now, it's hard to figure out how to remember the Charleston, but maybe this